Welcome, welcome. We'll give people a few minutes to pile in, and then we'll start with our subject of the day. Welcome to Sapphire Ridge News. Where everyone is welcome. Today, we're going to talk about a young lady in Louisiana. She goes by Boymom4life77 on TikTok. Go and show her some love. She's dealing with an incredibly difficult neighbor, and um, yeah, her neighbor has called the cops on her 30 times the first year she lived there. Now I'm going to have to do two follow-ups because this is just so wild. And I have some video clips to share with y'all. I want to give y'all a chance to pile in here. But the girl has done nothing wrong. She's dealing with this Karen of a neighbor who keeps calling the cops on her, accusing her of all kinds of wild stuff. And when you see the video clips, you're going to say, what the fucking hell? At least that's what I said. I said, what the fucking hell? Because this is just wild what she's dealing with. Absolutely wild. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to play a couple of these video clips. I have 5. We'll play 2. And then we'll talk, and then we'll play the other 3.
Our neighbors have called the police on us 28 times. Here's the story. We moved into our new home in July of 2020. From day one, there was issues. As we're unpacking our things, our boys want to ride in their kayak that they have owned for a while but haven't been able to use it, and we didn't know it had ants all over it. So because we share a body of water and they just happened to be on her side, they jumped out in her backyard and ran across to me to get the ants off of them. Of course, we apologize and say that we didn't realize it was their property and that it wouldn't happen again. And before you come at me with, how did you not know it was your property? We had just moved in, it was day one, and when they jumped out, the way our properties are set up, it's very unique, and I didn't even see where they had come from. But of course, I apologized and said it wouldn't happen again. Fast forward a couple of weeks maybe, the boys are playing in the water and in their canoe with friends, and she has her husband come over asking them to get out of her portion of the water. We're like, okay, so we move them out of her portion of the water, but just mainly to keep peace and not cause any issues. We're very new. We don't want any issues. Here is where things start to get real and interesting. Police call number 1. When the boys were swimming in the water a different day with friends again, she called the police saying they were trespassing into her water. At the time, there was no property stakes or any type of marker showing anything that was her portion of water, even though water, in my opinion, isn't owned. And I should clarify, not just my opinion, in the state's opinion, or the law, whatever. After that, we had family out over from out of town, and she come out, this was in 2020, saying that we had too many people here and that we were causing too much noise and we needed to have people leave. Which brings us to call number 2. As you can see, and this is where it starts to get even more interesting, we're doing yard work. You can see there's plants all right there. We're adding plants to our garden, and we're using the golf cart to haul plants to and from. She called the police because we were using the golf cart on our own land, in our driveway. She actually made 2 calls this day. One was because we were actually in the street, I guess, with our golf cart. She had pictures of it. And then the other one was because we were using it within our own property. Then came the lawyer letter. Wait till you hear this. She sent us a certified letter from her lawyer saying that if we continue to trespass, actions were going to be taken against us. We had just moved in. It was very, very early on in moving in that this letter was sent. It also said that we were trespassing on a daily basis, not only us, but our kids and our dogs. And wait till you hear the rest for part 2.
Yeah. So that's about call number 1 and 2. That's just wild. The lady is on her own property, and the neighbor is calling the cops on her for trespassing, but she's on her own property. She's not on the neighbor's property. Let's continue.
Our neighbors have called the police on us 28 times, part 2. So we just got the lawyer letter in the mail and we're like, okay, this is real. She has a problem. She doesn't like us. She's a Karen, whatever. But we knew we had, a serious issue next door. Being that this was so early on of us moving in, we kind of felt like it was more of like a scare tactic, this letter, thinking that because she would send this letter to us from her lawyer that we're going to be like, oh man, we should stop living our life. And so that really wasn't the case, though. We kind of understood what was going on here and talked to a few people. We hadn't hired a lawyer at this point, but we needed to. Here is call 3. So on call 3, she called because she said our dogs were in her water, and we intentionally threw the stick into her water to antagonize her. Here's our dogs in the water. Clearly you can see them playing. Did a stick get thrown? Possibly. I'm not sure. And were they in what she believes to be her water? Yes, they were. Now, up until this point, we've been nicey nice, right? We have been trying to, keep the peace and not really say much, kind of go with what she's saying until, we had friends over. It was my birthday, actually. And she once again sends her husband over to say that we have too many people. Now, at this point, I'm like, no. We don't have too many people. This is my house. This is my land. This is my right. And I'm not going to send anyone home. I'm not going to tell anyone to be quiet. And we're not going to change our lifestyle for you. She didn't like that very much and came out screaming. Now, at this point, like I said, we have been nice. So I go up to the property line and her and I have words. Of course, I was not nice. She was not nice. It was very ugly. My entire family watched it all go down, and it was pretty intense. And what's crazy is she didn't call the police. But don't get excited because it wasn't over yet. Here is police call number 4. This time over music. At 11:30 on a Sunday afternoon, while me and my kids were having a dance-off on what we call our peninsula, which is where you saw that tree. She called the police because the music was too loud. And she was recording my boys, which I mentioned to the police officer, who said that unless there was criminal intent or there was any type of sexual I forgot the wording he used, but basically he was saying that there was nothing he can do that because she was recording my kids.
Crazy, y'all. Just crazy what this young girl is dealing with. It gets worse.
Yes. Let me tell you about the attempt for us to make peace with the neighbors. So one night I'm laying in bed with my husband and I'm like, you know what, babe? My New Year's resolution is going to be to make peace with the neighbors. And so I said, next time I see them on their property line or out there working on their garden, which by the way, their garden's beautiful. She does amazing garden work and I wish mine looked as pretty as hers. So I have to give credit where credit's due, right? But I'm like, okay, I'm going to make peace with the neighbors. So fast forward, one day we go on the river, we get back from the river, we had just ran some catfish lines and we're filleting catfish. I see them outside working on their garden. I'm like, this is it. This is my time to shine. I am going to fix this right now. So I get me a Ziploc bag and I put me some fish in there, some fillets of fish that we just had, fresh fish. I mean, we just got them off the river and cleaned them. And me and my husband walk to the property line with my bag of fish, and I'm all excited and I have them. And my husband says, I think we got off on the wrong foot, and we really like to, we had to live next door to each other, and we really want to be able to get along, not only just for us, but for our kids. And we're not going anywhere. Y'all are not going anywhere. Let's squash this, basically. It wasn't maybe that is exact words, but anyhow. And I said, look, we just got off the river. We had caught some catfish. We ran some catfish lines and just filleted these fish. So we brought you some fish. And she says, they don't eat fish. So I slowly lower my bag of fish, feeling a little defeated. But okay, people don't eat fish. No big deal. Live on the river, not eat fish. It's okay. So I said, no big deal. So we talked to her for a good while on the property line for about an hour. Learned a little bit about her, and she learned about us as well. She has children. We have children. She has some older children, though. Hers are between the age of 17 and 20. She has 3. And I thought things were great. We exchanged phone numbers. Bad idea. After that, I thought, okay, great. Babe, look, we have solved the problem. Things are going to be better now. Nope. Now, not only did she call the police on us, but she also sent text messages to us about the things we were doing wrong continuously. On next video, I'm going to do a little screenshot where you can see some of the things that she told us, because it will be shocking.
Oh, the things some people do. This is just wild, y'all.
Our neighbors have called the police on us 28 times, part 3. I'm actually going to try to speed it up a little bit because there's so many calls that I want to get to the part that is actually pretty crazy. So police call number 5 and 6. 5 was because of loud music, and 6 was because we were driving the golf cart again. And this time, actually, I tried to snippet the police report, but I couldn't get it to where it would fit on the screen. Anyway, the police report actually said, I am tired of seeing my neighbor drive her golf cart. And actually, I should state that it wasn't a police report. It's only a call log because there was never an actual report filed because there was never any citations given. Okay, fast forward. Here we are at Christmas time. And our boys receive a canoe. Mind you, this thing goes maybe 8 miles an hour, tops. I know for sure it's smaller than a 9.9. My little guys rode that canoe back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we're having so much fun. Until, of course, she calls the sheriff or the police and says that we are causing a wake and eroding her property. She wants it to be a no-wake zone, and she wants them to come out immediately. Now, she has the Marine Division come out this time. She also calls Wildlife and Fishery. This was in the first week of them owning this canoe. So basically, this sums up 2020. Next up, 2021. And this is where things get super interesting. And so here is 2021, and I have the property lines up here so you can get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. The circle of 5 is my house, so that house is circled is mine. Then the arrow pointing in the water, that's the little triangle of water that she is saying is hers and that we are in all the time and trespassing. And then the other arrow is where I'm showing you the property line is and where we stood the time that we got in the argument, and then upcoming when I tried to make peace. So here we at 2021, my new My New Year's resolution was going to be to make peace with the neighbors, and I think you can probably go back to a previous video where I talked about this in more detail, but basically I brought fish to the property line that we had just filleted that day from catching them on the river as a peace offering, I guess, to try to make peace with the neighbor, and it was going to be my New Year's resolution, and it didn't work. Stay tuned for part 4, where I go into more detail of the craziness.
This is just wild, y'all. The girl tried to make peace, and neighbor said, "Nope, angry old bat."
Our neighbors have called the police on us 28 times, part 3. I'm actually going to just want to jump on real
Yes,
fast. Those of you asking for an update, the fence is still there. You can see it right there. It goes
this
along
is
the
the last
waterway.
video clip, y'all.
Our properties are a little unique. This is her home. And then the water comes up in between our homes, and then this is my home. So we live on a natural scenic waterway or a river. And this is actually a drainage easement she put the fence up on as well. So there's multiple violations here. And we are working on having it removed, but we do have to take the proper steps in having it removed. And hopefully we can get something going here soon. But a little backstory, a little kind of where we come from with all this. We moved here about 3 years ago, and from the day we've moved in, it's been nothing with issues with her. She's called the police on us numerous times, multiple times, over silly things as far as golf carts, music, even as far as the boys fishing in her water and the fishing line, the lure going into her waterway or her water, and she's called the police. We've never received a citation. We've never gotten a ticket. They've always, for the most part, said that there was nothing they could do. And yet we still had continued to get calls. Well, she files a what they call peace bond against us. I never knew what that was before. But basically, she wanted us to put up $1,000, and then she had this list of things that she didn't want us doing, and one of them was, say, music, or the dogs, or jumping into the water, or the fishing line in the water. If we didn't do any of these things in a 6-month time frame, then we would get our $1,000 back. But if we did, then she got to keep our $1,000. The judge threw that out, and we thought we were finished. We thought it was over with. He told her basically to leave us alone, and that the things that she was calling on were ridiculous. Well, fast forward to today, it's all started back up again. She called recently about the music, and then you saw my post about the fence, and then yesterday was the Marine Police coming out because of the boys causing a wake. So it's a battle, and has been a battle for a long time, and I will keep you guys updated as much as I can, but it's been a ride.
This is just wild, y'all. This girl been putting up with this since 2020. It's now 2024, and the neighbor is still calling the cops on her. I will have to do a follow up. I did reach out to her and invite her to come on and talk about her crazy neighbor. Um, but she's Boy Mom for Life on TikTok, and go show her some love if you're on TikTok. But that's what I got for y'all today. Don't be a crazy neighbor. This is just wild. Later, y'all.